I am super excited to talk to my guest today. I've been following him on Twitter for a while. He is SocialistMMA on Twitter. So please do follow him. His tweets are they're very funny and they're very insightful. And yeah, he's one of my favorite people to follow. So I'm super excited to have him on the show today. And we're going to be learning more about him because he's exactly what the handle implies. He is Nick, the Socialist MMA guy. What's up, Nick?
So Ron, happy to talk some shit with you today.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to have you. I'm stoked to talk to you. We got some fun stuff to talk about. And I'm looking forward to getting to know you because I am very curious about MMA and every activity surrounding it, but I'm not a connoisseur by any means, and I don't. So I apologize in advance if my questions are just very very elementary, because I interviewed a boxer once years ago. This is back when I had a radio show in Nashville, and I interviewed a professional boxer, really knew his stuff, and I was really intrigued to learn more, but I felt like my questions were just so goofy and clueless. Like, it was obvious I didn't know great questions.
That's how I feel when I talk about almost any other sport other than combat sports. Like, especially because I'm Black, people assume I know what I'm talking about when it comes to basketball. I used to back in the day when I used to play, but people talk about like playoffs, basketball. I'm like, yeah, LeBron is good. That was a great play by them. Like, that's me on any other sport, so I get it.
Well, that's an accurate observation. LeBron is in fact good.
Yeah, it's just very basic observations like that. So I'm very glad I have the platform I have, because I can talk about martial arts, because one thing I'm happy that the left got warmed to the last few years is we got to arm up, right? So I'm telling people, like, man, that gun's not always going to be there with you. So leftists not only need to arm up, they also need to learn martial arts. They also need to be able to handle these engagement with these crazy right wingers we are seeing. Like, I see people have these live streams, and these people are ready to fight. The Proud Boys, they're ready to fight, and I'm not trying to shoot everybody. Like, you can't be ready to shoot everybody, and not every situation will call for that. So I'm like, man, it doesn't hurt to learn. You don't have to be a professional fighter. It's just good to have in your skill set, right?
I understand what you're saying. I mean, it's funny. I had this activist on, and I always feel like activists are always like the biggest step ahead of the curve when it comes to everything. They're always a few steps ahead of everyone else because they're just really on the ground. And this guy, he was based in North Carolina. I'd imagine he still is. I should actually have him back. It's been years. But again, this was back when I had my radio show. This was even before this show. But I had him on as a guest, and we were just talking about a lot of the direct action he was involved with at the time. And this would have been back in like 2015 or so. And I said to him, what's some advice that you have for people just in general, and especially for lefties and stuff like that? And the first thing he said, learn self-defense. That was the first thing he said. And it kind of, to be honest with you, it caught me a little off guard. I wasn't expecting that to be, but he just said, learn self-defense. It's something you got to know. It's something that you might need at some point. Learn self-defense. I'm very much an anti-violent guy. I abhor violence unless it is, self-defense. Obviously, that's different. I actually don't consider self-defense violence. I think they're two very different things. But I see the practical value in being able to defend yourself. And I do not practice what I preach because I don't know jack shit about MMA or anything else. I wouldn't know what to do in any circumstance.
The thing is, like, just having that knowledge, it helps the way you carry yourself. It helps your self-esteem and everything you do in your life, because I can tell you how confident I am if I was to get into a combat situation with somebody, but I don't have a lot of street fighting experience. It don't ever escalate to that point because I'm so confident in my ability to defend myself, my ability to de-escalate. It never even comes to that point. Like, people step up to me and I'm like, I'm so confident. I'm like, bro, are you crazy right now? Like, they can kind of see your confidence, and that alone could kind of help defuse a lot of situations. Because there are a lot of situations where I've been in where I'm like, man, I guess I'm about to throw down right now. There was a guy. This happened last year. I always have solidarity with the workers. So there was this guy who we was at Chipotle. He got there first, and he was like yelling at the workers there because they didn't have the salsa ready, and so he like lost his shit. Like he was an older Mexican
But
guy.
did he just have like one tortilla chip with him? Like, what's going
I'm
on?
like, bro, it's
This
not
is
that big of a deal.
unacceptable.
No, it was the corn salsa. It had no. I'm like, bro, it's not that big of a deal. So he up there yelling,
Here, I'll be
and
him, you be you, you be you. Where's this salsa? I'm
and
so hungry.
I was sitting there looking at him like, is he joking? Like, cause he was so mad, it made no sense at how mad he was. And the people that was working there, they was 16, 17 years old. They had their first job. I remember being in that position. So I'm like, immediately I'm feeling bad for them because they have some crazy guy yelling at them. So I'm sitting there, I'm second in line. I'm like, dude, I'm like, shut up, bro. Are you serious right now? And I literally like squared up because I'm thinking like this dude's so unhinged. He might be ready to swing at me. But like as soon as I checked him, I kind of square up at him. He kind of backed down. Like you see that happens a lot with bullies. I was actually probably shocked. He kind of like, man, mind your own business. Then he paid and left. I'm kind of like, okay, so that didn't go the way I thought it would go. But you see that happen a lot. If you know you can defend yourself, you know you can stand up to bullies. They don't really have an answer for you. So I actually haven't been in a lot of situations. I always call out bullying when I see it, just like that situation. But I actually don't get into a lot of fights, and it's kind of where I'm like, man, people don't really want to get into that kind of conflict.
Well, I mean, I can't. I mean, you're sitting down right now, so I can't really. But you know, you have some fairly broad looking shoulders. How tall are you?
I'm not the tallest dude. I'm 5'8". When I used to compete at featherweight, so I used to compete at 145.
Okay.
Right now I got the COVID-15 because all the gyms been shut
Wait,
down.
you have it?
No. I don't have the COVID. I have the COVID-15. The plus 15 you gain by quarantining.
I get all right, I misheard you.
So I've
All
been
right.
trying to like get back in training and just doing my own thing, but it's hard because I haven't done any like real training for like a year. Because I was actually traveling helping Bernie in his campaign out before COVID. So I already went like 2-3 months without doing that. Then COVID hit and then all the gyms were shut down. They have some open gym classes, but Kansas City is one of the hot spots. And I'm like, bro, I don't trust you. I ain't about to train with you dirty people. I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. Um, I've been kind of out of training, but I'm still really sharp because I always do my street Muay Thai. I hit pad with some friends. We about to set up a gym at one of my friends' basement, which was gonna be lit. Cause that's why I'm used to having a gym. I used to training people, but right now it's been like a long stretch since I did some real sparring. I miss it. I need it for my soul because if you read my tweets, man, I don't hide who I am. I admit I'm kind of crazy. So I need that.
Well,
I
have you ever
need
had to get
that
that
conflict.
disclaimer when somebody was messing with you? Were you ever just like, "Hey, I know how to defend myself, and I'm kind of crazy. Do you want to continue this, or do you
People
want to walk
be
away?"
it's always funny when I read criticisms of me because I'm like, bro, you guys are just telling people what I always tell people about myself as it is anyway. I already tell people I'm kind of crazy, so that's why I don't take bullshit well. I'm not made for politics. Like me having the platform I have is a complete accident. I should not have the platform I have because I'm kind of crazy, and that's kind of what drove me to get
That
into
should be
fighting.
your intro every time. You just like, "All right, guys, just so you know, I shouldn't have this platform. I'm kind of crazy." I'd
Yeah,
immediately want to check that out. I'd be like, "This guy, I want
because
to hear more of what he has to say."
I'm too passionate because I do get mad. I had that debate with Vosh and everyone was like, "Man, you was you if you made your points cross really better if you wasn't yelling." I'm like, "Man, I can't fucking help it." Like I'm passionate about what I talk about. It is what
So
it is.
I
So
admittedly don't know who that is. I think I
you're not missing
saw
nothing.
I follow
You're not
you,
missing.
but I
You're not
don't know
missing
who that.
nothing. I didn't know who he was. He like the only our thing started because he featured one of my tweets on the video, and
Okay.
he was doing like a biting like a vote shaming video, and
Okay.
he was calling out the politics of the left. So I think people misunderstood what was going on because people was like, "Man, we supposed to be debating." I'm like, "This is not a debate. This is he supposed to explain to me why I should vote for Joe Biden." And I went on his show. I kind of yelled at him, and it was kind of
Hmm.
funny. But anyway, he's not important. It's just I get these kind of criticisms all the time. I'm not the kind of person that will just fall in line, especially the way the left been treated for the last few years. And I'm supposed to just fall in line, but I'm not that kind of guy. Like I'm spiteful, and I don't take bullshit towards my people. Like I'm almost to a fault. Like uh, in my family, we all come from combat sports. That's where I learned from. My dad was a boxing trainer. I had cousins that fought on TV boxing, so
Oh, no
it,
kidding,
it was
man.
it was it was like a thing, man.
It's
You don't
family
bet
thing
for the
for you. Wait,
yeah. I was
so
like
real quick, and then I want to get into some news and then talk more about you. But what? So all right, again, I don't know much. So what's the difference between like what they did and what you do? Like you do MMA. What's the
yes.
big difference between the type of boxing that they did and what you do?
See, I just had to take it to the next level because I always did boxing from day one. And then I remember this is when MMA started becoming popular. It was during the Ultimate Fighter days. It was like 2008. This is around the time I started going to college. And one of my roommate friends, he was a wrestler, and he was part of the wrestling team. He was like, "Hey, yo, we have this MMA club." So I did. I was like, "Oh, cool! I actually watched. I see on TV before." So I did that, and I remember I was sparring with this little Vietnamese guy. Like he like way smaller than me, but he knew Muay Thai. He knew how to kick, and I always had good hands. I always knew how to box because I did it ever since I was a kid, ever since I was a child. So I was sparring with this guy. I'm not used to losing. Like I say that in a cocky way, but I just got a lot of experience. So I go with this guy who's way smaller than me. And he's like kicking my ass. I mean, literally kicking my ass. I'm not used to dealing with kicks. He's throwing his leg kicks, body kicks. I'm like, fuck, dude, he's so fast. And ever since then, I fell in love with it from that day on. My dad and them, they focus on boxing, and my dad being the national martial artist that he is, he picked up jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai in his late age, so he's a dangerous 65-year-old man. So I kind of fell in love with that from there, and I coached at UMKC for a little bit. You know, they all had their different clubs. I never had opportunity to go pro or do any of that stuff, but I trained with pro fighters. I trained with Jason High. He used to fight for UFC. I don't remember his name, but he's a guy. He won Golden Gloves national level. I used to spar with him all the time. So I've been in there with real fighters. I just never, because I was working all the time. I was hustling, bro. I
No,
never had a
sure,
chance to
man.
like really go pro. So, but
Well,
I still love the game.
a high school friend of mine that I knew in high school, and then we kind of just lost touch over the years. But he's a professional, and I guess he still is. I mean, I guess you can do it a long time because there's different age groups and stuff, right?
Yeah, I
Because
mean, once you
he's in his mid-30s now, but
yeah,
I think
there's
he's still
different
doing it.
classes.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
because you can
he's
fight an amateur, but once you go pro, you kind of locked in on going pro. So you can just
yeah.
be a amateur 30-year-old fighter fighting clubs. That's what I did in my early 20s. I was just fought some. Remember, this is before MMA became the giant event it is now. So now you got much more organized local events, even in Kansas City. But back then, you would find organized circuits in like Las Vegas, California, New York, big markets. But in Kansas City, it was like, oh, I guess we're going to this bar, this shady bar. And we're
Oh,
gonna fight.
okay.
So it was like never. It wasn't an established market back then. So that's why people were like, where you got a little film. I still got to film my old fight. I just post photos I had, but it wasn't like cameras everywhere. It's like we go into the cage and we were fighting, we were coaching. It was fun. That's what I did in my early 20s. So I was juggling that, trying to go to school, work. So that was pretty much all my time back in my early 20s. So it takes a lot of your life away. So it's been a long time since I competed, but I've been recently falling back in love with this. So it is a very important part of my life. I realize when I don't do it, like whenever I take long breaks, I see my sanity start to break. I start to get,
Mm.
I feel my depression start to pick up, and I wouldn't even tell you why. I'm like, man, I feel like shit. I don't feel like doing anything today, and then I'll start training again. I'm like, oh, okay, so that's just because I wasn't doing something that brings me passion, and it doesn't even have to be just martial arts. Like whether it's you in comedy, or whether it's someone who like to paint, or someone who like to video edit, anything you want to do. I always tell people
Well,
just find that thing, and
physical
that will,
activity really helps you too, though. I mean,
yeah,
like physical
yeah,
activity, because I mean, it releases the dopamine and stuff like that. I mean,
yeah,
I try to make sure I go for a walk, jog every single day because, first of all, essential sunlight is exactly that, essential sunlight. Like, you need to just, get out and get fresh air. And I know in the time of quarantine and social distancing, it's difficult, but it's, you still have to make it happen. You wear a mask and you do your thing, and you go on a jog or a run or a bike ride or whatever. So I think that's a big part of it too. I do. I play an Irish sport called hurling that there's a good chance you've never heard of because most people haven't. But I love it.
I can't tell you that much about it.
So it's basically lacrosse meets football, kind of. But here's the deal. It's one of the oldest sports in the world, arguably the oldest sport in the world. Like, there's disputes on what actually came first, but it's pretty much the oldest sport in the world. So you see remnants of other sports within it because it came first. So you have a stick that you use that's a kind of weird shaped stick. It almost looks like a field hockey stick, kind of, but it's a little different. And the reason it's kind of a weird shaped stick is because back in the day, they used axes to play, which I don't know how exactly. I guess they used axes, and then randomly they decided, nobody needs to die for us to do this. Let's not use axes anymore and do something else. But they used to use axes, so the stick kind of looks a little weird, like it could have been an axe at one point, but it's wooden typically, and there's a little ball. So yeah, it's like field hockey meets lacrosse, kind of meets football because there's like a field goal. And anyway, so all right, so let's hop into it. Is such a fun game.
It sounds fun just based on how you explain it. Sounds fun to me, bro.
Oh, it's so, well, and that's how I got into it. A buddy of mine, I don't know how he got into it, but he introduced me to it. And I just thought, I want to play this. So I got a stick. I just bought a stick. I bought my wife a stick too. And we just learned how to play. And it's not super popular in the United States, but most cities have clubs. Like, I'm sure Kansas City has a club. Los Angeles has a club. Pretty much any major city in the country is going to have like a club. It may or may not be super big, but it's going to be there. And so I've gone to the club to their drills a couple times. I've never competed, but sometimes people get a little intense with the competition. And I have my buddy who introduced me to it. He's cracked a few ribs before, and I'm not looking to do any of that. So I'd want to make sure that people, it's just fun, friendly games. I'm not looking to.
At my age now, I just want something. Yeah. At my age now, I just want to chill and do something, get my heart rate up. Back in my early days, back in my early 20s, I used to be a hothead that took everything to the next level. But now it's like, man, can we take a chill pill, man? I'm just want to get sweat. I just want to get sweat going. So I definitely feel that. That looked fun, though. I might have to look into that because I'm always trying to do new stuff like that. So,
dude, if you check it out, let me know, and I can direct you on where to get.
I'm always doing.
Hey, drop me an email. I'll send you. So there is a company. This is random. The company is located in South Carolina. I mean, I guess that's kind of a random location. I don't know that, but that's where the place where they make all the Gaelic sports equipment here in the United States. It's this one company, and they produce sticks. You can buy the ball is called a slitter. That's how you pronounce it. I think I'm pronouncing it right. I might actually be mispronouncing it, but you can get those there, and they're cheap. They're like $3 a piece or something like that. But I usually get a couple because, eventually you lose them. They're like tennis balls basically. They're actually closer to a baseball than a tennis ball, but they're their own thing. And, inevitably you lose them, you lose them in the woods or something. So you get a couple of those, you get a stick, and that's really all you need. I mean, if you're going to compete, you'll need like a helmet and some stuff like that. But usually if you're in like a club and you join a team, they'll have that stuff. So
get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make Get your